State News, death row inmate Jessie Hoffman was pronounced deceased at 6:50 p.m. Tuesday at Angola Prison. Hoffman exhausted all of his pleas to stay the execution, including from the state and U.S. Supreme Court. It was the first execution to take place in Louisiana in 15 years and the first in state history to use nitrogen gas. Here's a timeline of Tuesday's execution. State officials explain at 6:30 a.m. Hoffman had visitation with his family and was made aware his last relief was denial. He declined his last meal. At 6 p.m., he was then brought to the gurney. 3 people were in the execution room: the warden, Hoffman's spiritual advisor, and the doctor. He denied final words twice. Officials say the entire process took 19 minutes. Medical officials say they believe he was unconscious within minutes, taking a total of 14 minutes to die and 5 minutes after his heart stopped. The medical officer for Angola Prison describes the execution.
6:21, the gas was turned on, the nitrogen was turned on. Around 6:23, he did have some convulsive activity. He did raise up, there was some shaking activity. I can tell you that I was watching his eyes for 30 to 45 seconds prior to that. There was no blinking activity. So I do not believe he was conscious.
Officials followed the same protocols as Alabama and feel they did a much better job. There were 7 witnesses in total, with 2 saying he had little movement and could only see his head during the process. Attorney General Liz Murrill says this was justice for not only the victim's family, but the start of a new continuing justice for other victims.
She was known to her friends as Molly. On November 28th, 1996, on Thanksgiving Day, a duck hunter found Molly Elliott's naked, dead body abandoned on a makeshift dock where she had been shot in the head execution style after being kidnapped, robbed, terrorized, raped, and marched to this desolate spot for her death. Justice has been delayed for these victims and their families for far too long. I, along with my office, remain committed to ensuring that justice is carried out. He received multiple appeals. He received even more appeals and review in the last several days. Now he faces his ultimate judgment before God.
With Hoffman's death, there are now 55 inmates sitting on death row.